Welcome to Tech Blueprint, a window that lets you know the latest technology news in the world. In recent years, India's rapid population growth has made it the world's most populous country. This has not only provided India with a large pool of cheap labor, but also a potentially huge emerging market, attracting many companies to invest and develop in India. Although India offers various preferential policies and even subsidies to foreign invested enterprises, once they have grown, they have begun to exploit them. Apple and Foxconn seemed unconcerned, but now they are starting to fall victim. The reason Apple and Foxconn seem unconcerned is mainly because they weren't the first to invest and build factories in India. In fact, the first mobile phone companies to develop in India were Chinese domestic manufacturers like Xiaomi and South Korean manufacturer Samsung. Back then, when Xiaomi invested and built a factory in India, it received a warm welcome from the Indian side. Xiaomi was given various preferential policies, and Indian Prime Minister Modi even personally met with Lei Jun, making Xiaomi a top-tier mobile phone brand in India. However, as Xiaomi and others grew larger in India, India reversed its usual practice and began to target mainland Chinese mobile phone companies in various ways. First, India fined domestic mobile phone manufacturers under various pretexts, then suddenly froze approximately 4.8 billion renminbi worth of Xiaomi's stock. Later, it demanded that mainland Chinese mobile phone manufacturers hire Indian executives and forcibly transferred 51% of their shares, attempting to seize control of Chinese companies. India's actions weren't limited to mainland Chinese companies. South Korean giant Samsung was also targeted, with India previously fining it $200 million. In recent years, many other foreign companies have faced tax and fine measures from India, including Google, Amazon, Tesla, and Vodafone. India is often called a graveyard for foreign companies. They spend their profits there and don't want to take anything home. Despite this situation, Apple and Foxconn still decided to expand into India, seemingly unconcerned, perhaps believing they wouldn't be targeted. Therefore, Apple and Foxconn have accelerated their expansion in India in recent years. As Apple's preferred manufacturer, Foxconn actively responded to Apple's call, continuously increasing its investment in local factories in India. Apple also began establishing Apple stores in India, which naturally made Tim Cook very popular, even receiving a personal meeting with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. As a result, Apple's assembly capacity and sales in India have been steadily increasing. However, don't assume that India only provides subsidies and preferential policies to Apple and Foxconn, allowing them to diversify risks and reduce costs, so they can confidently make money in India. That's wishful thinking. How could India be so unfair? The Indian government is known for its fairness. Having penalized Xiaomi, Samsung, Google, and others, How could it let Apple and Foxconn off the hook? Recently, news broke that the Indian tax authorities unearthed an old tax law from 1961. According to this tax law, India can tax Apple based on its global turnover, amounting to $4.1 billion. It seems the Indian tax authorities are quite diligent. To collect more tax from Apple, they've even dug up such an old tax law provision. This policy was introduced at the time to restrict foreign investment from evading import taxes in India. The provision stipulates that if a foreign company has production facilities in India, India can tax it based on its global turnover. However, this old Indian tax law provision is unreliable and has never been enforced. Therefore, Apple naturally considered it unreasonable and lodged a strong protest, even stating that if India insisted on doing so, they would have to relocate out of India. Later, the matter reportedly reached Modi's ears. Modi likely considered this, given that Apple's continuous expansion of assembly capacity in India had made India the top mobile phone export market to the US. Therefore, the Indian tax authorities temporarily suspended enforcement against Apple. However, Apple is still too wealthy. Having failed to extract money from Apple this time, India naturally wouldn't let go of this lucrative target. At this point, Foxconn, seeing this news, must be worried. Since India has its eye on Apple, how could it let Foxconn off the hook? It's worth noting that Taiwanese company Wistron has already announced its complete withdrawal from the Indian market. Furthermore, the Indian Tata Group, also engaged in smartphone assembly, aspires to become India's largest Apple phone assembler. Having already acquired Wistron and currently in talks to acquire Pegatron, Foxconn is likely next. In response, some foreign media outlets commented that, given India's nature, no foreign company operating in India can escape its influence. Now, the target is Apple, and although they didn't succeed this time, further moves are possible, and Foxconn will likely be no exception.